When it comes to your digital strategy, there are several elements that need to be included in your strategy or in your plan, right? As far as I'm concerned, the first one and one of the most important is your objectives. What are you going online to do? What are you using these digital tools, these digital platforms to do? I think that's a very important element of your plan because that sets the tone for everything else, right? Because everything else in your plan, all the tactics and strategies that you're going to be using in the plan should be based on some kind of objectives. But how do you figure out or identify what those objectives are? Well, you first have to start with what your business goals are. So, whether you're a personal brand or a business, there must be some goal that you're trying to achieve. It could be increase in sales, it could be more brand awareness, whatever the goal is, your digital objectives should be aligned around that goal, right? So let's talk about first what a digital marketing strategy is, just so you can understand why we're going here. So it's a set of planned actions performed online to reach specific business goals. So the whole point of the plan is so you can reach specific business goals. Now, your digital marketing strategy by itself is not going to help you reach your business goals, right? There are other things you need to do, but certainly as part of your overall marketing plan, what you're looking at is the ways that you can use online platform digital tools to help you or to help you further along to help you further those goals, okay? So, what it means is you are performing some kind of consistent actions at the right time via the most suitable online channels to increase revenue and improve relationships with your audience. So, let's break this down. What do we mean by planned actions? Well, nothing online is random. At least what you are producing shouldn't be random. And the reason why it can't be random, because you may go on social media and see some posts and it looks random. It looks like, oh well, I was just going for a walk and I took this wonderful picture where I'm looking so fly, right? It's all planned. And it's planned because content creation is hard. It's not the easiest thing to do because there's certain things that you have to continuously do for content to be effective. And so you don't want to chance it or risk it by being random because your audience, if it's random, your audience will know if it's random. What you can do is create content that looks random, but there's a certain consistency to it. But if it's really just random, it will know because it's going to be disjointed and it's not going to be cohesive, etc. So you have to plan what it is that I'm going to do on my website, what am I going to do on my socials, what am I going to do with my email, mobile, etc. Whatever channels you are using, whatever the content you're pushing out on those channels or the material you're pushing out on those channel has to be planned. And what do we mean by specific business goals? You could have many business goals, right? But what are the more important goals? Those are the ones that you are going to really focus in on. And also, you're going to look at the specific business goals that you can use the online tools and platforms to help you reach. So there are some goals that no amount of digital marketing is going to help you with those, right? So having a sales strategy, putting together your business plan, blah, 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 that has nothing to do with digital marketing. So what we're talking about, the kind of goals we're talking about, or the specific goals we're talking about, you have to be able to identify those and then say, okay, I have this particular goal. How can I use X platform or any platform or the online space to reach those goals? So the goals have to be specific, right? Consistent actions, meaning, again, it's not random. You're being consistent in certain ways, whether it's posting schedule, you're being consistent in posting schedule, you're consistently sending emails out, you're following up with people. That is what we mean by consistent actions. Don't be like me. that have not posted anything on my socials for the longest while, in order to maintain and keep your audience and nurture your community, you have to perform consistent actions. You have to make sure that if I post something here, this is what my caption is going to be. This is how I'm going to write my caption. This is what the hashtags I'm going to use. These are the keywords that I'm going to use. Consistent. And consistent right across your different channels as well. And what do we mean by the right time? You have to know what you're going to be doing on this platform, when you're going to be doing it on the platform, and then the 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 point of having a plan is that you can say, for instance, you have a new product launching, yeah, and you know that your product launch on April 12th. Yes, are you going to wait until April 12th to do any kind of activity in your online space? No. There's a lead up that you do to your launch. So you may have a countdown, or you may have people coming in and talking about how excited they are that this new thing is going to come out. You may tease the product, whatever. So we're talking about, again, planned actions, consistent at a particular time, in order for you to get to the desired results that you want to get to, right? And of course, we're talking about online channels, and some of the benefits, or one of the biggest benefit, I would say, of having a digital marketing strategy as part of your overall marketing plan is that it can really help you to increase revenue, but also improve relationships. I keep saying, and I'm going to say it again, it is easier or cheaper to retain a customer than to acquire a customer. However, customer acquisition is important, and the digital space can help you do that. Customer retention is important, and the digital space can help you to do that, because now there's a space where you can be in constant contact and communication with a previous customer, pushing them towards the next buy or the next sale, right? As well, you can leverage those existing customers to get new customers, right? So leveraging your existing customer to attract an audience, or attract more people to your platforms, so then you can go through that whole conversion process again. And that's what we were talking about last week when we were talking about frameworks, right? Okay. So how do you identify business goals? The method, or one of the methods, is the SMART goal strategy. And what it is, or what we're saying with the SMART goal strategy, is that you can't have a goal that's not precise or clear or specific. And I'll give you an example. Every new year we have New Year's resolutions, right? And one of your New Year's resolution may be, I want to lose weight. Say your New Year's resolution is that you want to lose weight, right? Is that specific enough? Maybe not. Because what do you mean by I want to lose weight? That could mean anything, right? If you say, however, that I want to lose 30 pounds by November, or by, because you want your summer body to come in. So you want to lose 30 pounds by March. Yeah, this is how I'm going to lose the 30 pounds by March. This is why I want to lose the 30 pounds by March. This is how I'm going to know if I've lost 30 pounds by March. So that is where the SMART goal setting actually comes in, because what you're doing is you are taking that desire that you have, and you're turning it into what we call precise articulations, right? You're giving yourself a particular time frame for when you're going to do that. You're putting in measures in place, or you're identifying how you're going to measure the success of that goal. And then you're going to talk about what are the things that I need to do to ensure that I reach that goal. It's the same thing in business goal planning, right? So goals are precise articulations of what your business will achieve within a particular time frame. Without a time frame, You're not setting any kind of boundaries on the thing. So it's so fluid that it almost makes no sense, because if you have a goal of increasing sales and there's no time frame around the goal, the that goal of increasing sales, then increasing sales can happen at any time. How does that affect the bottom line of your business, right? So you have to make sure that you're putting that time bound or time frame in place, so it can keep you accountable, one, because that's important, because you don't want a situation where it's a never ending goal that you might never get to because you keep moving that goalpost, or there was no goalpost to begin with. So you want to set it within a particular time frame, because one, it may not be the only goal you have. Certain goals you have to accomplish before you can reach your next growth phase, right? So you have to make sure that you're hitting these goals within a particular time, right? They're more specific than your overall mission statement and fall under the umbrella of your business plan, right? So, whether you're a massive corporation or a small business, you have to have clear business goals that are time bound, attainable, allows you to orient your company in the right direction as you grow, right? You're not planning on staying in the one place for the rest of the life cycle of your business. You want to continuously grow and grow and grow and grow. You can't do that without having any kind of goals, right? And so it is important that that's probably one of the first place you start in your business plan, by identifying what these goals are. Now, it might sound like a heavy thing to do or a laborious thing to do, but you can break it down. You can have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. You can even break that down further when you're putting together your digital marketing plan. What you can do is you can say, okay, let's break it down into quarters. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And the quarter is every 3 months, right? And we have 12 months in a year, so that's 4 quarters. What are my top two? Okay, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. What are my top two goals, business goals, that I want to achieve in quarter one? Again, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. And you plug that into your marketing plan. So, as a digital marketer, what you're saying to the operations team, the sales team, is that, listen, this is the goals you guys say you want to achieve. Let's put it within a particular time frame, and let's create a strategy with tactics and activities around this to help us get to that goal. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about aligning your business goals with your digital objectives, because one is the foundation of the other. If you don't have a business plan and you haven't really sat down and figured out what are the things you're trying to achieve within what time, it doesn't even make sense. You're not going to get very far, let's just say. And you don't want it to be you don't want it to be a buck up situation, right? You want to have it planned out as best as possible, so you too can go back in and go, okay, well, this didn't work, let's tweak this, let's change this, right? So we are looking at I like, in my courses, this is the method I think is the most effective in terms of aligning your business goals with your digital marketing strategy, the SMART goals. So let's talk about what SMART stands for. So the S is for specific. What are you trying to accomplish? What specifically are you trying to accomplish? Okay, I want to lose 50 pounds. Very specific. Measurable. What are your KPIs? What are your metrics? And later on, we're going to look at the difference between KPIs and metrics. So KPIs is really the business goal, or the business goal in terms of your digital marketing strategy, and the metrics is how you're going to measure that. So say, for instance, I say I want to lose the 50 pounds. Okay, how am I going to know if I've lost 50 pounds? Well, I'm going to weigh myself I'm going to use this particular scale. I start by measuring my weight. What was my weight before I started? I'm going to, do weigh myself periodically this over this time. So the first 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I weigh myself to see if I am losing weight, right? So that's what I mean by measure. How are you going to measure that? How are you going to achieve it? Is it even achievable? Is it realistic? Right now, I think I'm about 160 pounds, if not more. I'm chubby. Yes. So say, for instance, I say I want to lose 50 pounds in 3 months. Is that realistic? Is that a realistic thing to want to achieve? Let's put it that way. Is it possible for me to healthily in a healthy way lose 50 pounds in 3 months? So you have to be realistic with whatever the goal is that you're setting, right? Relevant. How does this fit in with my overall goal? So what is my overall goal? My overall goal may be to get healthier. So the overall goal is to get healthier, to make myself feel better, whatever that overall goal is. And one of the ways I'm going to do that specifically is by losing X amount of weight. And then the last one is time bound. When do I want to achieve this by? Well, I have a trip planned for my birthday, right? Coming up in August, let's say. My birthday is not in August, but I have a trip coming up for my birthday in August, and I have a particular look that I want. I want to look like this in my bathing suit, right? Apart from feeling healthier, which means you can do more things and you can, I want to look a particular way, right? And so I know that if my birthday is in August and I have this fabulous trip planned, right? I have a certain time period that I'm going to have to work within to be able to achieve the things I want to achieve. And I want to go back quickly to achievable, because achievable, yes, has to do with, sorry, going back. Achievable, yes, has to do with how realistic your goals are. But you have to understand too, what are the constraints that you're working within? And what do we mean by constraints? So you may not be a digital marketer. You're a small business person, you know nothing about digital marketing, you know nothing about graphic design, you know nothing about these things. Yet still, you want to have a massive social media campaign, and you want to use Case Fennel as an influencer to represent your brand. And so, first of all, you're a small brand or business. You're probably new to the space. You don't know Casey Fennel. Casey Fennel don't know you, right? You probably don't have the budget to be able to afford a Casey Fennel to do any kind of influencer marketing for you. And I'll give you an even more realistic example. In my previous classes, because I told you guys before that your assessment, your in-class assignment is really based on your practical assessment. And so in previous classes, in my social media class especially, I have asked I've asked my groups to put together a marketing plan, because I do that for all my groups, to put together a marketing plan. And I want them in the plan to tell me how they're going to attract their audience. What are some of the things that you're going to do to attract your audience and build your community? And I keep getting people telling me that they're going to do giveaways. Everybody's going to do a giveaway. And if you join the group, you're going to get 20% off of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, where are you guys getting this money from to do all these massive giveaways and giving away free things and discounts? Where's all this money coming from? So you have to be realistic, one, and you have to realize too that depending on where you are in your business, you may not have the luxury of a big budget to be able to do some of the things that you would want to do. So you have to operate within the bounds, and you have to be realistic. And you also, and by doing that, how you do that, I should say, is by figuring out, how can I actually attain this? Do I have the money to go to the gym every day? Can I afford a gym membership? I may not be able to afford a gym membership. Okay, what are some of the other ways I can get to this goal within my pocket limit? I can put on a YouTube video and exercise around my living room. I can go walking, that's free. I can go jogging around the park, that's free, right? I can be a little bit more active, clean up the yard a little more, do some exercise, create my own little strategy. There's so much resources online that I could access for free. So that's what I'm talking about. Once you start thinking about, okay, how am I going to reach this goal? What are the things that I need to do to reach this goal? And then you think, okay, these are the things I need to do to reach this goal, but I can't afford to do this, that, and that. What are the alternatives to doing this, that, and that? Because there's always another way. I can tell you there's always another way, especially in 2020 when the internet is free. Okay? So that's what we're talking about with smart goal setting. So neither your business plan nor your marketing strategy should be developed on its own. And you run into problems as a digital marketer because usually you're brought in on the back end. You're brought in after the business plan has already been created. That becomes problematic because a business plan is being created or a business strategy is being created without the marketing team being there to add their input and vice versa. And so you're being given a set of instructions as to this is what the strategy is, this is what we want to accomplish, and marketing is then left to figure it out. That should never be the case. Marketing should always be in the room when a digital plan or strategy is being developed, because that's where the expertise come in. You bring your expertise. There's this strategy that we have, and marketing can go, okay, well, I think we can tweak the strategy this way to make sure that this is happening, blah, 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 blah. So everybody's on the same page. It shouldn't be where higher up sit and pass, create strategies and stuff, and then that's passed down to everybody for them to figure it out. That doesn't work very well, because neither of these two things exist by themselves. Okay, so for you to be successful as a marketer, digital marketer, you have to have the ability to make informed decisions and take necessary actions to drive certain results that affects the business's bottom line or outcome, which is why you should be in the room when the business strategy or plan, not a business plan necessarily, but the business strategy is being developed. And business strategies are developed depending on the type of business. As I said, you can have a yearly strategy where you say, okay, this is the overall things we want to do with the business for 2022, and then that is broken down into, again, the different quarters in 2022. At each stage of that, the marketing team or the digital marketing team should be there, but that's not the reality. So what do you do if you're a digital marketer? Maybe you're being outsourced or you're outsourcing a digital marketer. What needs to happen? Well, a conversation needs to be had, or multiple conversations between you, the business owner, and the digital marketer about, okay, what do you want to achieve? What are the strategies? And then the digital marketer will say, okay, this is how I think you can do X, Y, Z in the digital space. That's the conversation that needs to happen, because again, there has to be alignment. There has to be alignment. Okay. So this is what we mean. This is what we mean by the top-down approach in terms of aligning goals with objectives, right? So the goal is what you would like to achieve by an agreed deadline. We talk about the SMART goal setting. The strategy is the logical argument that positions you with an advantage. And by logical argument is what your strategy is doing is saying, okay, this is what you want to achieve. These are the activities I think we can do to achieve it, and this is why I think these activities will work. That's what your strategy, your plan is. Your plan, again, your plan is not random either. Your plan is based on data that you would have collected, your knowledge of the digital space, experience that you've had in the digital space. So none of it should be random. So you should be able to justify why you decide that Instagram was going to be your main social media platform for the first quarter. You should be able to justify that. And that's what they mean by the logical argument. What's the justification for saying, okay, instead of going with a social media strategy, we're going to go with an email marketing strategy? Or we're going to use strategy X, Y, and Z. Why? What's the logic behind that, right? And then it's the tactics. So the goal comes first. The goal helps you to put a strategy together, and then from that strategy, the actions that you are going to take to fulfill the strategy and succeed in your goal. I'm hoping, let me see if am I making sense, guys? Yes? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, good. Good. I have not lost you guys. Okay, great. Let's move on. Was there more? Okay, no. So, another part of the whole aligning business goals with digital objectives is being able to measure those goals, those goals and the objectives, to be quite honest with you, because it is unrealistic for a company who's new to a market space to come in and say, oh well, one of my goals is to again, going back to the whole influencer marketing thing. Well, one of my goals is to make $10 million in 2 months. What are you selling that you're going to make $10 million in 2 months? How are you planning on doing any of that, right? So the goal in and of itself have to be realistic. The business goal in and of itself has to be realistic, and then the digital objectives, the things that you're going to be doing online, has to also be realistic. But the other big thing is measurable. It has to be measurable, and this is important for several reasons. How are you going to demonstrate to the business, or if you're doing digital marketing for yourself, how are you going to demonstrate the effectiveness of your strategy? You can't do that if there's no measurement in place to say, okay, this is where we started in January, and this is how we've done since January. We're in April now. This is what we've been doing since January. This is the outcome since January. This is what has happened in between then. Yeah. And we wanted to get to, say for, and I'll give you an example. You just launched your Instagram profile. You want to have 1,000 followers in 10 days, 20 days, a month, right? How are you going to know if, one, you're reaching the right people, two, you're engaging the right people, and three, they're not just followers now, or they didn't accidentally follow you, but they intentionally followed you? How are you going to know that? You can say, oh, well, because the numbers, I can see the follower count on my Instagram page. That's cute. However, that follower count on your Instagram page doesn't tell you any of those other things. It doesn't tell you if they're actively engaged. It doesn't tell you if you're actually reaching the right audience. It doesn't tell you any of that. Because there are so many ways and reasons why people follow you. You want them to be able to follow you for the right reasons. And that's an example. So, what are KPIs and metrics? Marketing metrics and key performance indicators are values, measurable values that you're going to use to demonstrate the effectiveness of your campaigns across all your channels. And campaigns, you could interchange that with strategy across your channels, right? So some metrics we can think of is awareness, consideration, purchase, loyalty, advocacy, etc. Um, and in terms of, KPIs and metrics, what you're trying to measure, it's going to depend. The metrics you're going to use is going to depend on what you're measuring, right? So it's a fundamental part of your strategy because you're relying on data to help you streamline your goals and marketing objectives to streamline business goals and your marketing objective to get to your ultimate goal. That's what this should say. All right. So again, metrics and KPIs are determined based on the specific business goals, strategy objectives, and even the specific tactics that you're going to be using. So what are KPIs specifically? Well, it's a quantifiable measure of performance over time for a specific objective. And you see, we keep going back to objectives and being able to measure that objective. And by quantifiable, it means you can put a number to it or a figure to it, right? So it includes setting targets, the desired level of performance, and tracking progress against that target. So it's like when you're in sales and you say you have certain sales targets, that's what we mean, right? So some examples of KPIs are monthly website traffic, number of qualified leads, CTA conversion rate. Let me go back. And CTA conversion rate. So let me go a little bit deeper into what we mean by the desired level of performance. I don't make promises. When I used to do digital marketing, I never made promises to a client where I say, "Oh, I'm gonna get you 20,000 followers in a because that's not something that is quantifiable. That's not something you can guarantee to anybody, right? Because digital marketing, there's a lot of things there's a lot of depends that you do in digital marketing. So if this, then that. If not this, then this. So because of that, all of those variables, it is very difficult for you to give definitives like that. But what you can do is you can set targets. So you can say, well, these are the activities that we're going to be doing, and this is a level of engagement that we're going to go for. We want a particular engagement rate, yeah? And because we're engaging, because we're producing this type of content, because we're doing the community building and all these other activities and tactics, etc., we can predict that we're going to get 20,000 followers by this time if we do this consistently over this period of time. That's what we mean by the KPIs and setting those targets, right? So you can achieve, or knowing from the beginning what the desired level of performance is for a particular campaign or strategy over a particular time. So that's why one of the KPIs here is monthly website traffic. You can't guarantee that you're going to have 50,000 followers to your website every month, but it's a target that you're setting for your marketing team to say, or the marketing team is setting that target to say, we want to get to 50,000 visitors to the website per month. Now that you have that KPI, because again, remember, it's a key performance indicator. You know that your strategy is performing well if you get to 50,000, your website marketing strategy is performing well if you get to 50,000 visitors per month, right? That's the KPI. From that KPI now, you're setting, you're putting in place other metrics, because those metrics are going to be based on the activities or the tactics that you're going to use to get that 50,000 people to the website. So say, for instance, one of the tactics that you're going to use, or say, for instance, the activity is you're going to be posting content on social media. That's the activity, right? The tactic is to use that content that you're posting on social media to traffic people to your website, right? How are you going to know if you have persons coming from your social media to your website? What are the metrics you're going to use? Well, you can look at click-through rates, how many people are actually clicking the link in your bio. That's one metric you can use to see if you are hitting those targets or that target, right? You can even say, okay, I want the majority of my visitors to come from social media, which means that you're going to have a very good content marketing strategy, right? And so that's what we mean by your KPIs, setting that target, and then the metrics. And let's move into KPIs versus metrics, right? And then the metrics is measuring those. What are you going to do to make sure that you're achieving those, or to measure or track the specific objectives under that target? So I'm hoping that makes sense, right? So while KPIs are the outcomes, the end goal that you're trying to achieve, the metrics are the different data points in your funnel or analytic platforms that together determine whether that goal has been met. So again, the metric, the KPI is the business outcome, it's not the goal. The goal is an overarching thing, right? Overarching in terms of your digital marketing plan. It's still specific, but it's an overarching goal that you're going to then take into your digital marketing plan, break that down further into activities, tactics, etc. And each of those things have to be measured, right? So you can track them, so you can know if you're going to achieve them, or if you're on your way to achieving them, or if they have been achieved. So when you take that business goal and you plug it into your digital marketing strategies, you're now going to set outcomes. What are the outcomes that you're trying to achieve? And what are the things that you're going to do to get there? So these are the targets. These are our digital marketing targets for the first quarter. These are the activities that we're going to do on our different platforms. These are the tactics. So one of the tactics could be we're going to go live every Thursday and have a live Q&A. We're going to have interesting guests. Another tactic could be we're going to get an influencer to review. Another tactic could be user-generated content, right? And then you're measuring each of these things. How are these things going to get me to this target? How am I going to measure if these things are getting me to this target? So that's the difference. That's what the KPI is, that's the metrics, and that's the difference between the two. Because sometimes people confuse the two, but they are part and parcel of the same thing, but they're different, and they serve their own purpose in your whole marketing plan. You guys have any questions? You guys understood that just now? In my mind, I feel like that was a little bit muddled. Do you guys understand that just now? So KPIs are your targets, your digital marketing targets that you're setting in your plan. Okay, Akilim, let's go again. Going back to the monthly website traffic, right? Your target is 50,000 visitors to your website every month. That's the target you're setting. Part of your digital marketing plan is part of your digital marketing plan is website marketing, right? And what you're saying is, in terms of our website, we want 50,000 visitors to our website every month. That's the target that you're setting. How are you going to ensure, or as best as possible, get 50,000 visitors to visit your website each month? Yeah? So between the target and the activities and the tactics that you're going to use to traffic people to your website, it could be SEO marketing, it could be search engine marketing, it could be mobile marketing, it could be content marketing, whatever the strategy is that you're going to use to get people to your website, you're going to have to be able to measure it to see if it is effective, see if it'll work, right? Because you could be creating all sorts of different content and stuff, but it's not moving people to visit your website. For whatever reason, your content plan or content marketing is just not working. But how do you know whether it is working or not? That's where your metrics come in. And you have individual metrics or data points, same thing, that you are going to use to determine if you are successfully heading towards your target. So for instance, say again, one of those things is you're going to be posting content on your socials. You're gonna have a strong call to action in your caption, and you're gonna say to people, hey, if you want to see the rest of this, visit our YouTube channel, or sorry, not YouTube channel, visit our website. Or for more information, visit our website. Because there's not a lot you can really put on social media in terms of detailed information. So for them to get detailed information, they have to go to your website. Or say for instance, you have a store. We're in Jamaica, we don't have access to Instagram store. So that means we are relying on our content marketing to drive people to our website where they can do the shopping. How are you going to measure that? Well, according to my Instagram analytics, or according to my Google analytics, right? Google says I have 30% of my website traffic coming from Instagram. How many people are clicking on my link? If I put a call to action in my caption that says, now available on my website, click link in bio to shop. How many people are clicking the link in my bio to shop? That's a metric. That click through, we call it click through rate. How many persons, what's the rate of people clicking through to my website? So the target is 50,000 visitors to your website. The metric, one of the metrics you're going to be using is your click-through rate. And that metric is tied to a particular objective that you had, which was to create content with a strong CTA, send them to the link in your bio so they can click through to your website. Yes, Akilim, exactly. KPI is the target, the overall outcome that you want to achieve, the target that you're heading towards. And along the way, you're going to be checking to see how close you are. Am I on the right track? That's the metric. The metric tells you if you're on the right track to achieving that target. Is that clearer, Akilim? Let me know before I move on. Yes, great. Not leaving anybody behind. Okay, great. So the first part of your strategy is figuring out what the business goals are, identifying the objectives that is going to help you to, as best as possible, get to those goals, right? The other important element in your strategy is who are you going to be talking to? Who's your target audience, right? So the target audience are the persons who would most be interested in your product, services, or message. Now, at any point in time, somebody can come across your brand and become interested. Remember, we talked about that last week when we were talking about frameworks. At any point, somebody could come along and become interested. That's why you do brand awareness, etc., right? However, you're gonna have a particular audience or market segment who would already be primed for whatever your product or services is. Because when you were putting together the idea, when you were generating that idea for this product and services, these were the people you had in mind. These were the people you go, you have some people where they're lactose intolerant, and so but they like milk, they like cheese or milk or whatever, right? They like cereal, and cereal, you have to have milk in your cereal. So how can I, create a product that can help these people enjoy cereal just as the person who would be putting milk in their cereal? Soy milk, almond milk. So when the persons who created soy milk and almond milk was thinking about it, they're going, And lactose intolerance has increased over the decades. We are becoming more and more intolerant to these things. And so you have persons going, okay, this is the market I'm going to cater for. People who can't drink regular milk. Either they're lactose intolerant, or if you're like me, you're both lactose intolerant and dairy flares up your eczema. So we have to have dairy alternatives. Almond milk, soy milk, right? So that's your target market. That person is targeting people like me. So that's what we mean by the persons who would be most interested. Because somebody who has no problems with dairy, who's not lactose intolerant, they're fine. Don't have eczema problem, they're fine. The only reason why they may be interested in an almond milk alternative or a soy milk alternative is for other health reasons. They want, it's probably a healthier product, right? But those persons would probably be your secondary audience, because they're buying your products because they want an option, not because they can't, not because they're buying the product as an option, not because they have a particular problem, but because this may be an option for them. For me, I don't have a choice. I can either not have this product and not enjoy my life becoming a little less happy because I can't enjoy my honey bunches of oats almonds because I can't drink milk. For me, it's not much of an option. For them, it's an option. Your product could be an option for them. You want to target the people that your product is not an option for them, right? Part of your main target audience. In some instances, it could be that um, again, it's a lifestyle choice kind of thing. Again, it's maybe a healthier option. The doctor put them on a diet, or their nutritionist put them on a diet, and so they have to cut out certain things, maybe because they're diabetic or for whatever reason. Now, those persons would become interested in your products or service. So these are the people you're trying to reach. Long story short, these are the people you're trying to reach. And so what you do in your strategy is what we call audience mapping. And audience mapping is really you figuring out who is your target audience, where they are, what they're doing there, and how you're going to reach them. That's what audience mapping is. And that allows you to effectively reach your audience with targeted content. All right? So now there's a strategy that we use as digital marketers to kind of help businesses to figure out who are their target audiences. And there's, well, four things we look at: demographics, behavior psychographics, and geography. And we're going to look into that now. So let's look at our audience map, right? Let's look at the demography. When we talk about demography, we're looking at things like age, marital status, gender, ethnic background, income. All of these things can help us identify our audience because, one, we know that at a particular age, you're not a consumer, right? You're not earning, so you're not a consumer. You're relying on maybe a parent to buy certain products and services, which is why some businesses target young people. Like, think about cereal commercials, Kellogg's, Frosted Flakes, etc. That's targeted towards a younger demographic, because they can influence their parents to buy this thing. So you're looking at the age group that your product or service is most appropriate for, right? Gender, how much money they're making, ethnic background, marital status, etc. These are just some of the demographic information that you're going to need to have a better idea of who you're targeting your product or service towards. The next one is the psychographic. What activities are they doing? What interests do they have? What social groups they belong to? What are the values and attitudes that they have? Think about an uptown versus a downtown. How you market to somebody downtown is going to be very different than how you market to somebody uptown. And that's why when you look at certain types of marketing, some companies split their marketing depending on the audience that they're talking to. We call that messaging and tone and language, etc. So think of when a bank has a product for a particular audience, the language looks different, the people that they use in the commercials look different, as opposed to when they have another product that is more a mass product, probably a product for us broke people. It also looks very different. And I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, an NCB is talking about investments and stocks and blah blah blah, their commercial is gonna look very different. They're gonna have some uptown looking people, yeah, people, some high yellow looking people in the commercials, button up, suit and tie, or the preppy uptown mom look is what I call it. You know, the cargo pants or the jeans pants with the nice blouse with the frill, and they have the perfectly manicured and groomed child, that kind of thing, that kind of look. Yes, that's not being marketed towards me. However, if they're marketing something like Link, look at how they market Link, NCB Link. It is very different. It's very, yo, what up, man, kind of marketing. And what I mean by that is they use more patois, they use more slang, right? The people in the commercial are less stuffy and formal and more young and youth and vibrant, right? That's how you know who they're marketing a certain product. Have you guys ever noticed that? Have you guys ever noticed that? Let me know. Yeah. So you can tell who they're marketing something to. Digicel also does it, right? Um, so, and somebody says Unicoma. Yes, that's a good example. So depend, but you might think, oh, that's terrible, but that's actually a really good marketing tactic, because you have to be able to reach your audience. You have to understand the social groups your audience belong to, because depending on the social group, the language is going to be different. The activities that they're going to do is different. I don't go golfing. I can't afford to go golfing. I don't even know how the hell to golf. Clearly, when NCB having them golf tournament, they're not targeting me, right? Values and attitudes change. What is important to me is going to be very different than what's important to somebody else in a different income bracket or socioeconomic bracket. So it might come off a way, but it's actually, it makes sense if you look at it, right? Because you have to know how to talk to the people that you're trying to get to, because talking to them in a language that they understand, in a way that they can relate to, is vital for your marketing to be effective. Let's look at the behavioral. So we're talking about purchasing habits, brand interaction, and spending habits. What are the things they buy on a regular basis? How do they spend their money, especially if they have what you call disposable income? How do they spend that money? Do they buy gadgets? What kind of gadgets they buy? So are they iPhone or are they an Android user? Spending habits, purchasing habits, brand interaction, all of that comes into play. So if and another thing too, say for instance you are trying to create a luxury brand, this helps you behave, the understanding the behavior of your audience help you determine price, and it helps you determine how you talk to them and market your product to them, right? And you have to understand, okay, somebody who's going to spend $3,500 on a MacBook Air that is this big is a different category of people than somebody who's going to spend $600 on an HP, because ain't nobody got time for that, right? There's a massive difference between those two groups of people, and you can determine that by looking at their behavior. The other one is geographic. Are they local? Are they national? Are they regional? Or are they international? What do we mean? Well, where are they? Look again, going back to the banks, look at how banks decide where they're going to put a branch, or any business, where they're going to put a branch. That's important, right? It depends on what the products and services are. You're not going to put a luxury store downtown on Orange or Princess Street. No, you're going to put a high-end luxury store in New Kingston. Look at where Porsche is. Look at where Mini is. Look at where those dealerships are. There's what if a space downtown that would have made more sense for them go down there. So, but why? That's not where their target audience is. They want to go somewhere where the people who drive past Porsche every day and drive past Mini Cooper every day have the money or the ability to walk in there and come out with something. So location is actually important. Locality is important, and locality is different from, in terms of, are they local to your community, or are you trying to get them? Are you trying to reach people on a more broad and national kind of level? Which is why you say free deliver, free shipping across, island wide, right? Right. It could be that they are not just in Jamaica. They could be other places in the Caribbean. They want your product and services as well. Or it could be an international market. Think diaspora. They're in the diaspora. They want to support a small business in Jamaica, etc. How are you going to get to these people? How are you going to market to these people? How you market to a Jamaican in the diaspora is going to be how you market to somebody within your own community. So all these things, guys, help you kind of map out the audience, right? Where they are, how you're gonna reach them, how you're gonna talk to them, and who they are, right? Sandra Oakley, yes. Exactly. Also, where do they buy? Thank you, Mr. Nobody. My life is a constant flex. Yes, everybody knows that full commercial by now because them kill you with it, right? Yard and road, this and yeah, yeah. Because who buys these kinds of plans? If I'm in corporate, I'm not going to be buying a plan. More than likely, is our corporate phone I'm going to be getting that is CUG, right? Not, and if I get a data plan, it's a postpaid thing. Not, was it postpaid or prepaid? Which one is the one we have the plan? Post or prepaid? I think it's postpaid, right? And so that's very different. I'm not going to be interested in yard and road and flex and blah, 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 blah. But for somebody who may not be able to have a postpaid plan, that's why you see them come in with the 7 day. You can get a plan for 7 days, or you can get a plan for 14 days or 30 days. And because I'm honest, as a people pocket different, right? Yeah. Yeah, because prepaid has plans too, because that's another way of getting people with smaller pockets to buy a plan, because it is more profitable for the company to sell plans than one-off credits. So let's talk about developing personas as part of identifying your target audience. So an audience persona is, or the whole point of developing an audience persona is to kind of figure out what makes this person tick, what makes this person uh, uh, function, what is the problem that they're having, and how you're going to convey to them that you can solve this problem and that your product or service is the best solution for them, right? So what you're doing is, say you have a particular target audience and you are taking one person that represents your ideal audience member, let's say, and then you're trying to figure out, you're creating profiles or creating a profile so you can better understand this particular person. Because if you understand the day-to-day of this particular person, you'll understand your target group or target audience, right? So one reason why you should be developing personas is because when you have an idea of what is the day-to-day of this person, you can then say, okay, this is how I'm going to develop this product as a solution for this person who represents this group, right? It also helps you to better understand who your ideal customer is and to differentiate between your ideal customer and customers that you probably shouldn't be targeting, right? It helps you to tailor your content, the message of your content, and tailor your content, your message, your business message, your product message, etc., and how that message comes across. We talked about the uptone versus downtown kind of thing. And it also helps you to develop a process for developing your strategy. So what's the difference between a persona and a target audience? Well, your persona again is taking one person that represents your entire target audience and kind of distilling that person down to using the audience map that we did, their demographic, their behavior, psychography, location. You're taking that and you're distilling it down so you can create an individual profile, and this person will represent your ideal audience member, right? Let's look at how this actually works. So here on the left hand side, you have another graphic, and this graphic says buyer persona one. Same thing as your target audience or your audience persona. And notice that they break it down into demographic, geographic, behavior, and then they have challenges, preferences, etc. So you're creating a fictitious character that serves as inspiration for creating the type of content that you need to create to address whatever their issues are, or to create a solution that addresses whatever their issues are. So what you want to do is explore what motivates them, and moves the brand closer to the customer. Because what you want to say to this particular person is, this is where you need to be. This is the product you need to get for this particular problem, because for this reason or that reason, right? So let's look at Sarah. Sarah is 30. She's female. She has a bachelor's degree. Her income level is middle class. Now, I wouldn't put middle class there because that's hard to quantify what is middle class, and that's based on the society that you're in. So instead of middle class, let's say if she has a bachelor's degree and we're talking about middle class, let's say she's like a supervisor, probably a brand manager. She's, a lower executive, right? So let's say she makes $2.53 million a year, right? She has a subscription to Forbes, which suggests some amount of disposable income, because a subscription to Forbes magazine, depending, can run you. Let's not use Forbes. Let's say she has a subscription to The Economist or The Times. You're looking at $30 a month, right? She signs up for blogs related to successful businesses. So clearly she has some ambitions to either start a business or, rise up in the ranks, in the executive ranks, right? She's located in the US. What are some of her pay points? And this is what I mean by challenges. Vocational, get everything done with a small staff, growth, finding new channels to grow businesses. So what she wants to do is find new channels to grow her business. But one of the restrictions that she have is that she has a small staff. So if she can find channels to grow her business, she can do that with the small staff that she has, right? She has a 60% open rate, which means that she checks her emails very often. And how often do they click? 25% of the time, which means that even though she's opening the emails very often, it may take a little bit longer to convert her through emails, although 25% click rate is considered high, right? But it may take more than one email to convert her, let's say. Now, Sarah doesn't necessarily exist, but Sarah could represent somebody that actually does exist. And that is the person that you're targeting. So this is what personas help you do, right? So these are some of the questions that you need to ask when you're thinking about how you're going to develop the buyer persona. We talked about demographic information. We talked about values and attitudes, behavioral, and so. But let's break it down. What do they value in their personal or professional life? What is important to them when considering a product like yours? What objectives might they have? What drives their decision-making process? What are their personal or career goals? How do they prioritize them? These are some of the things that you can think through. And sometimes it's effective to put yourself in the position, in that position. Think about how you interact with a brand. Think about what makes you decide to buy a particular product or service. You can use yourself as a good starting point and think about the way you think about things. Yeah? How do I, what are some considerations that would make me choose flow over Digicel? Yeah, that could be one thing. Is it a cost consideration? Is it a customer service thing? Is it a location based thing? What makes me choose one brand over another brand? When I go searching for information, what do I want to find? What information is going to push me to that point? So these are some of the things that you have to think about, right? Another thing that has to be in your digital strategy is where is my target audience online? And last week we did go through the burrito thing, right? And we were looking at how how many persons are following burrito on Instagram versus following burrito on Facebook, and you see that there's a little bit of a disparity. And we said that maybe what it is that uh because of the what Barita is selling with their products, etc., the audience may be, or it may be easier for them to find their audience on Instagram than it is on a Facebook, because maybe the audience on Instagram, they're getting into investments and IPO and stocks and stuff. They're kind of more interested in that. And the way Barita is presenting that information would probably most likely grab a younger audience. As opposed to a JMB, uh, who they're a traditional kind of bank in some senses, but who are they targeting? Women, with families mostly, or just families. So that's the kind of content that they create. They create a lot of content about women and health, women's health and families, etc. That's probably more oriented towards Facebook because of the type of people that use Facebook and what they're using Facebook for, and the type of content that JMB is creating. So you have to look at things like how are they using the platform, and again, think about the type of content that a JMB, let's say, will be creating. So they do live sessions, they do Q&As, they always have some important person coming in to answer questions, blah blah blah, usually of the female persuasion, etc. So when you're looking at, again, a Tasties, a Barita, a JMB, you can see disparities in how they're being engaged or interactions on their pages depending on where they are online, right? So that was a point of that. And so you have to ask yourself, where is my audience? How are they using the platform? And what are they doing online? What do they want to see? What their interests are? All of that stuff can help you determine where you should be online, or where you should build your online or build out your online presence. So that's for your audience, and there's a worksheet in the group folder for you guys to go through that will also help you in terms of building out that audience persona, right? Another thing that is important for you to have in your strategy is what we call a competitive or competitor analysis. And a competitor analysis focuses on identifying market, hold on, identifying market participants positioned to encroach on your opportunity, and isolate each participant's operational strengths, substantive weaknesses, product offerings, market dominance, and missed opportunities. Guys, give me 1 minute. All right, I was getting a notification on the screen. Sorry about that. All right. All right, Christine, I'm gonna pause for a minute and go back to a question Christine asked, which I shouldn't, because I did say to people that if you have a question, you should put it in the Q&A. However, I think this is important. So Christine says, realistically, how do you find out all this information? Do we make it up based on what we have in mind? And I just said to you guys, think about how you, Christine, chooses a product or service, or decide how you're going to choose a product or service. Think about who you had in mind when you were creating this product or service. Think about what are the differentiating factors between you and another business that offers this product or service. Why would they choose you? Think about what are the problems that they have that you're creating this product or service to solve. You're gonna have to do some research. You're gonna have to do data collection. You're gonna have to do all of these things. But in my mind, if I am creating handmade soaps, I'm creating handmade soaps. In my mind, there are and sometimes it's about understanding the market or the industry that you're in. And this is why a competitor analysis is important, because it ties back into your competitor analysis. In 2022, nobody can say that I don't know how to find out information about any target market. Going back to a target market now, because there's so many examples that exist out a road. You are making hand soaps, handcrafted soaps, etc. You don't look at, okay, who else is making handcrafted soaps? Who's buying their handcrafted soaps? How much are they selling these handcrafted soaps for? What are people using these handcrafted soaps for? What are the kind of ingredients that people expect in these kind of handcrafted soaps? And what am I using this? What are they going to be using it for? It is not hard to find the information, guys. It really isn't. Because if you are making a neem oil soap, what is neem used for? What is neem used for? Neem is used for a particular thing within our culture, right? So there's a reason why you put neem oil in the soap. Say for instance, and I'm not quite sure, I'm just throwing it out there. Say for instance, neem oil is used for dry skin. Yeah? You're putting neem oil in the soap for dry skin, to help with dry skin. Who are you targeting? No more somebody with dry skin, or who have a particular dry skin issue. Guys, it's not hard. It's not hard to figure these things out. And if you're just starting out, you have to do what we call market research. Because market research answers all of these questions for you. And a part of that market research is who's doing it, how they did it, what was their success rate, and all of that kind of stuff. But what tends to happen in our culture is that we see somebody's making oil, hand soap, and they're making money from it, and so we decide that we want to make hand soap as well. We don't know how exactly they're making money from it, but it just look like they're making money from it. I know everybody running in and making hand soaps, or this person is making copper wire jewelry and they're getting some sales, so I'm gonna run in and make copper wire jewelry. And because we don't have a plan, or this was because we're only doing it because we see other people doing it, we never went through the process of creating an actual business plan to solve a particular problem for a particular group. The problem you were trying to solve is our bank account problem. That's a different thing altogether, right? And so what I'm saying to you guys is that you need to be a little bit more intentional when you are creating your businesses, and you need to do research when you are creating your businesses, and you're not starting from, oh, well, these people make a ton of money doing it. That's not where you're starting from. That should inspire you, sure. But that shouldn't be the only plan that you have, right? And I see Asha talking about SWOT. We're going to talk about SWOT, right? It's absolutely important that you're doing that research. And what I'm saying is in 2022, that research is not hard. It is not hard because just about every company is online. And there's so many companies that offer data. You may even have to buy the data, but there's so much free data out there, right? So it's not hard, right? One research activity that you can do is you can look at your competitors and see what your competitors are doing, or what your potential competitors, who your potential competitors are. And this is something else that we get wrong. Something else that we get wrong is we are not able to properly identify who our competitors are. But before we even go there, let's break down this definition of competitor analysis. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so that's not working. Okay, so we're saying identifying market participants. And by market participants, we're talking about the persons who are in the same, let's call it a market category as you. Because you can have a really big market, or let's say a really big industry, right? And there are different operators within that industry doing different things, but they all fall under that industry category. Say manufacturing, or say retail clothing. That's the industry category or the market category, right? But within that category, you have the fast fashion brands, you have the luxury brands, you have the conscious brands, etc. Within that that subcategory, you have another subcategory of people who only make shoes, or only make dresses, or only make jackets. That's what they're focused on making, right? And even within that category, you have people who only make utility jackets or utility shoes, or so there's so many different market segments within that overall industry that you can get lost, and sometimes you can misidentify who your competitors are. So one thing you must understand is that your competitor is usually within that same subcategory as you are, right? And because they're in that same subcategory that you are in, that same market subcategory that you are in, at any time they can thief your customer, right? So the same opportunities you have to attract a customer is the same opportunities they have to attract a customer, and they can encroach on your opportunities to snag a customer, right? And so what you're doing with the competitor analysis is to find who these people are, and then you're looking at certain things. What are their operational strengths? In fact, you're going to do an entire SWOT on your competitor. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You're also going to look at product offerings. So you're looking at strengths and weaknesses. You're looking at what are the threats. And when I talk about a SWOT, it may not be SWOT in the traditional way, because when we're talking about opportunities, what I want you to look at is what opportunities you have to outcompete your competitor, and what may be certain underlying threats from that competitor. That's how I want you to do that SWOT, right? So you're looking at what are the opportunities based on their strengths and weaknesses, where can you generate opportunities, or what are the gaps that you can fill, and what can your competitor do to come back or to reposition themselves to challenge. That's what I mean. What are they offering? How much market share they have? And again, this is the missed opportunities part that I want you to do in your SWOT. What opportunities, what are they not doing that you can capitalize on. Okay? Now, when we talk about marketing, when we talk about competitor analysis, it's not something that you do one time. It's a continuous activity, right? Because you're continuously tracking and monitoring, because you want to determine who's new in the market. You want to determine what potential threat is there in the market to your market position. You want to determine what are the trends. It helps you to streamline your product development process, and it helps you to determine what your offerings are or should be. And an example I have here in this graphic is just wanting you to look at apps, fashion apps. Now on my phone, I have about 4 different fashion apps: Shein, Zara, and I don't remember what the 2 others are, but I have several fashion apps on my phone. But I want you to notice here in the graphic. So this blue line represents Fashion Nova, H&M, Forever 21, Victoria's Secret, and Sephora. Now within this market group here, this brand group here, Fashion Nova is the newest entrant, right? But then look at how much downloads Fashion Nova get as opposed to Forever 21, H&M, Sephora, and Victoria's Secret, which is the OG, right? So, and the so a Victoria's Secret or an H&M will be watching to see what is it that Fashion Nova is doing that is getting people to download their apps. What are they selling? What are they saying? Who are they selling it to, etc., etc. So this is why it is important to watch your competitors, see what it is that they're doing, and so you can position and reposition yourself to be able to compete, because you want to stay competitive. It's important, right? So another useful another reason why competitor analysis is useful is because it can help you generate ideas. So if you see, for instance, that going back to the whole lactose intolerant thing, everybody was selling milk and milk and milk and milk, and all the cereal commercials have milk in it, and you're going, oh my god, so me can't enjoy cereal because I can't drink milk. And you're realizing that some of the biggest producers of milk, Betty, Surge Island, blah blah blah, they're not creating alternatives to milk. There's a gap there. How can I fill that gap? So it's a useful tool for idea generation, finding market industry gaps, and to create growth opportunities for your brand or business. In a personal brand space, when I started Digital Jamaica, there was not a lot of people talking about who are the everyday people on the ground operating within the digital space who are doing innovative, interesting things. These people can actually inspire others to get into the tech space or digital space, but nobody was really talking about them. And I decided that I was going to talk about them. So, and with Digital Jamaica and even DDA, the only thing I've done in the last 2 years is fill gaps. That's all I've been doing, filling gaps, looking at who is in the space, what are they talking about, who are they talking to, and what are those persons that they're talking to saying they want to see or hear. That's it, plugging gaps. And that's a very effective strategy, especially if you're trying to differentiate yourself from your competitor. Okay? Sorry, let's go again. All right, so the header on this is gone. So there are 2 types of competitor. Well, yeah, 2, because one is, 2. So the first one is your direct competitor. And your direct competitor is the businesses that sell or market the same products or services to the same customers in the same market category or in the same market. Indirect competitors are the businesses that, although they do not sell or market the same products or services, still they compete for the same customer in the same market. And I'll explain. Question: would you guys say KFC is competing with Pizza Hut? Is KFC competing with Pizza Hut? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Somebody says indirectly. Okay. Is Pizza Hut competing with Domino's? So this is the difference. A Pizza Hut and a Domino is they're direct competitors. Why? Because they're both selling pizza. They're marketing the same product, pizza. However, Pizza Hut and Domino's are indirect competitors with KFC. Why? Because even though KFC is not marketing pizza, they're marketing fried chicken, which is fast food. They're all fast food, or they're all marketing fast food, a different type of fast food, but they're all going after the same customers in the same market. They could be owned by the same people. You have people who own companies, and these companies are competing with each other. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who, guys, want to keep going off on tangents. It doesn't matter who owns the companies. We're talking about the markets that they're operating in. And what I'm saying is, there's no technically, it doesn't matter who owns them. As I say, you have Facebook and Instagram is owned by Meta. They're competing directly too. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to figure out is who is a direct competitor and who's an indirect competitor. And it has nothing to do with who owns the companies. Okay? So a KFC could be owned by the same person or company that owns was it Pizza Hut? And you see, because when they have the franchise, usually you see KFC next to the Pizza Hut, but they're still competing for the same customer because it's still a fast food restaurant, and they're competing for the same customer. The same customer can decide that today I want pizza instead of chicken. Okay? So we're looking at the market and who is competing with you in the same market or the same category, subcategory of market that you're in. Okay? Exactly, Chris Anthony, exactly. Okay? But there's another category that I call secondary competitors. And let me tell you why I don't really want to muddle the water with secondary competitors. Because your secondary competitors are really your direct competitors, but it's really how they're marketing the product and service. And I'll give you an example. Microsoft Teams versus Zoom. They're direct competitors. But Microsoft Teams, how they do their conferencing, virtual conferencing, is different from how Zoom do their virtual conferencing. But it's the same virtual conferencing. It's just that one application does it one way and another application does it another way. Same as Cisco, WebEx, right? So Cisco, WebEx, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, they would be considered secondary competitors to each other, but really they're direct competitors. It's just that how their product work may be different, but it's the same product when you get down to it. Okay? Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ricardo. One company can also have several different brands in the same category. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, moving on. So, how do you conduct a competitor analysis though? So, there are certain things that you're looking at. One of them is what we call a feature matrix. And it's just a sexy way of saying what are the features of their product or services, right? That's what a feature matrix is. So with Zoom you can do webinars and polls and rooms and blah blah blah. What can you do on Teams? What are the features that they have? You're also looking at the percentage market share. You're looking at price points. What are the differentiating factors between a Microsoft Teams and a Zoom? What makes these companies different? What makes the product or services different? Where are they located? What is the customer sentiment? How people feel about flow versus how people feel about digital? That's what we call customer sentiment. And customer sentiment is basically looking at the perceptions that people have about different things and how they interact with these different brands, how they feel. It's really about how they feel about these different brands, which is going to determine how they interact with those brands, right? Marketing, how are they marketing? How does flow market versus how digital market? Where do you find digital locations versus where you find flow locations? What differentiates digital from flow? How is digital pricing their plans as opposed to flow? What are the features of a digital plan versus features of a flow plan? I can tell you right now that I think digital have more features in their plans than flow, right? And they give you more options as well. My father has a digital plan or chip. I have a flow chip. And sometimes my father is like, hey, why don't you do this plan? It's like, I don't have that option on Flow. Sorry. Because you don't have 14-day plans on Flow while you have 14-day plans on digital. So what are the different features? Who has a bigger market share? I don't know between digital and Flow who has a bigger market share, but that's one of the things they can do. And finally, you're going to do a SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, where there are gaps that can create opportunities for you, and the threats that that competitor poses to you. Okay? So you're doing the competitor SWOT analysis. All right? So, yeah. So that's it, guys, for marketing strategy. Then there are three different types of competitors. Sharifa, I just said that the secondary competitor is really no different from your direct competitor. The only reason why people talk about a secondary competitor is because we realize that even though you may be offering the same product or service, it may function a different way or operate in a different way, and there's a difference there. That's the only reason why we talk about secondary competitors. But there are really two major categories: direct and indirect. Okay? Sharifa, we good? Okay. Okay. No. Do you understand, Sharifa? That's what I want to find out, if you understand. All right, guys. So now, with your permission, I want to move on to content, because I want to give you guys, I want you guys to start your assignment, but I need to talk to you guys about content before you start your assignment. And so with your, if you guys are okay with me jumping into content, we can go there. We have a special guest presenter coming in on Wednesday, and that's another reason why I wanted to start content with you guys. So if you guys are okay, I will start content. Let me know. Are you guys okay with me? Okay. Yes. Okay. All right then. So I'm going to use our tutorial session to go into content, and then in the last about 15 minutes I'm going to walk you through your assignment, and you'll see why I wanted to go through content with you guys. Okay. So let's look at content marketing. We're going to start content marketing and go through that as quickly as possible. Before we do, are there any questions that you guys had about what we looked at just now? Any questions at all that I can address quickly before we go into content marketing? Any questions at all? Drop it in the Q&A, please. Q&A for questions, guys. What are we missing by jumping to content marketing now? I don't know what that question means, Tanisha. What do you mean, what are you missing? You're not jumping to content marketing. Content marketing is the next topic as per your module. I want to start content marketing today as opposed to Wednesday, because you're going to need to understand certain things for your assignment. So it's not jumping to content marketing. We are finished with this part of the lesson. Okay, all right, good. No questions. Let's go. All right, so let's get into content marketing, guys. So what is content marketing? Content marketing is a long-term strategy that focuses on building relationships with your target audience by giving them quality content that is relevant on a consistent basis. Let's break it down. Strong relationship. So this could be one of the different, guys, one minute. This could be one way for you to differentiate yourself from your competitor. If you are practicing community development, and that's what we mean by strong relationship, you are actively seeking to build a community around the brand. Of course, you want customers. You want an audience. From your audience, you're going to work to convert them to customers. But what you want is a community of people that support your brand, likes what you have to say, and what you have to understand too, and one of the reasons why it's good to build these kind of relationships, is that your target audience are not going to always be your customers. Some of them you can convert. Some of them you may not be able to convert, but if you can still build a relationship with them and they become a part of your community. And then we have what we call community marketing. And what community marketing is the persons who are your fans. They love your brand. They may not be able to afford, but they love your brand. Yeah? And so what they're going to do is recommend you to other people. They're going to share your content. They're going to talk about you. That's why it's important to build strong relationships. You also want to build strong relationships with your existing customers, because you don't just want one-off buyers. You want people who consistently comes back to your brand to buy. And for that to happen, you have to have trust, you have to have loyalty, they have to feel like they're a part of your brand, and when you grow, they feel like they're growing with your brand, etc. It's all psychological. It's all about perception, but you have to realize that you're dealing with people. At the heart of all this marketing excitement, you're dealing with a business and people. And how you're gonna captivate these people depends on the type of relationship you have with these people, okay? What do we mean by high quality? High quality is subjective, isn't it? Well, there's certain objective qualities that we're talking about when we're talking about high quality. So it could be how, say for instance, you do a lot of video based content. What is the clarity in your video? Literally, what is your video clarity? Is it very clear? Is it crisp? Does it look like you're sitting in the same room with the person? Is it 4K, 2K, HD? That's one aspect of quality. Another aspect of quality is the content itself quality. Is what you're saying quality? Is the information you're giving quality? Is it well researched? Is it well presented? Does it make sense? Does it have value for me? Do I learn anything? Do I get anything substantial to take away from having spent my time consuming this content? That's the other half of the coin when as it relates to quality, right? Is it relevant to me? Why should I care about this kind of content? Because I have an interest. I have some kind of interest in it, whether the interest is educational or entertainment, whatever the interest, I have an interest, and therefore it is relevant to me, right? And consistent. Just like quality, consistency is two sides to the coin of consistency. One side to the coin is, are you producing consistently high quality content? So if I go to your YouTube channel, are all your videos well lit, crisp, clean? Is the formatting the same? The topic may be different, but is the formatting the same? And is it along the same lines? So the example I always use is Jackie Aina. You know that when you go to Jackie Aina's YouTube page, she's going to be talking about makeup. Consistently, she's going to be talking about makeup. Jackie Aina, over the time, because Jackie Aina now is very different from how she just started out. Now, her videos are well produced, professionally edited, awesome. That's not how she started out. But the bigger her platform got, the more money she made, the better the quality of her content, right? So now her content in terms of the look and feel of it is consistent. She's always going to be talking about makeup for black women. That's her thing. So that's also consistent. So consistent comes on many levels. So the quality has to be consistent. The subject matter has to be consistent, even though you may have different topics, but the subject matter is consistent and the look and feel is consistent, right? You know, you're gonna get a really good tutorial about how to apply lipstick or whatever. So whether she applying lipstick, whether she applying eyeshadow or the make your contour, you know you're gonna get a really good educational video that's also entertaining, that's also informative consistently. So that's what we mean by on a consistent basis, okay? So let's look at the role of content in digital marketing, right? So what content marketing does in the whole, digital marketing, in terms of the whole scheme of digital marketing, at the heart, I would say at the heart of digital marketing is content. All of it is content. And so content is really king in digital marketing. So what you're doing with the content is, instead of doing a come and buy my product, it is so amazing, instead of doing that, you're giving people information. Now the information might come differently. We talk about maybe entertainment, it may be entertaining, it may be informative, it may be educational. It comes in different ways, but it's really information that makes your buyer more intelligent. Think back to Jackie Aina again. If Jackie Aina comes and tell me that this brand don't like black people because, or she don't think this brand is black people friendly because XYZ, that's more information for me as a buyer, Remember our first session where we talked about how digital has empowered consumers? That's what we mean. It's made them more intelligent because they have more information, right? And so there's a Jackie Aina telling me that she thinks the best foundation for black skin is this. Well, shoot, I'm going to listen to that, because if I have that same shade or complexion and I struggle with finding the proper shade, the proper makeup for my complexion or my shade, then I'm going to listen to that. And now I am more informed and I can make more informed decisions. Is Fenty Beauty good or is it not good? What are they saying about Fenty Beauty? Let me go watch some videos on YouTube to find out who's saying what about Fenty Beauty. Is it hydrating? Does it dry out your skin? Does it make your skin look ashy? Does it dry matte, or does it make you have a glow? All of that is information, and that comes from content, right? And with this content, it drives traffic, generates leads and sales for your business, by reaching people looking for your products and services. And this is the inbound nature of content marketing. We talked about inbound before. This is what I mean by people who are already primed, or, well, primed meaning they're already interested as well as they're looking. They're looking for the alternatives, right? And so I will go look, say for instance, I have a bomb date and I want smoky eyes with wing lash and the freckled skin contour look. I think that's a look, right? I'm going to go watch videos on YouTube to see how I can get the wing look and how I can get the smoky eye and how I can contour and how I can make my nose look smaller. Yeah? I'm going to go watch a video on YouTube to figure out how to do that. Right? And if in that video, they're saying that these are the products that you should use so you can get a beat face. Everybody was talking about, what's that yellow banana powder thing where they put on it, say you need to bake if Ben. What's the name of that powder? Ladies, help me out. What's the name of that powder? That they Ben Nye. A Ben Nye? The yellow banana powder thing that they put on to bake their face. Yeah. And so that is driving traffic to Sephora or to the website where we can get it. Yeah, it's a setting powder thing and it's yellow. And they put it on when they say they're baking their face. Because what it does is it kind of sets in your makeup and give you that. Listen, I don't know. Y'all flap me. Thought you guys would know. Oh, yes, it's Ben Nye. Okay, see? The girls who know it, know it. You can know the girls who don't know nothing about makeup. Just a try a thing. And so that's what I mean, guys, by drive traffic. And this is one of the reasons that influencer marketing works so well. It's still content marketing. It's just that instead of coming from you, it is coming from somebody else who already have an audience, the same audience you're trying to get in front of, and they're recommending your product and services, which is informing that audience, driving traffic to your business so you can reach people who's looking for your products. Even if you're not using influencer marketing, just content marketing in general, giving people more information can help them make a decision, and it can help make a decision about you and your product and services, right? So this is a graphic here, the content marketing cycle. So you're going to research, right? So you're going to do research, service analysis, and other forms of insight gathering like competitor analysis, right? You're going to set your goals. You're going to create your strategy. You're going to create your content. You're going to also curate content, because content marketing is hard. You don't have to create all the content. You can also source content. You're going to distribute the content and you're going to engage, right? So this is kind of the process. It's kind of, well, an example of a process, but I think this is a good cycle for you to follow. Always starts with research, then setting the goals, aligning it with your digital objective, creating that strategy, then move into execution, which is the creating of the content or sourcing content, distributing the content, and of course, if content is king, engagement is queen, because content without any engagement is useless. Absolutely useless. Okay? So the essence of our content marketing strategy is to deliver consistent, ongoing value to your audience or your potential customers. And the reward for that is you get the money. They spend the money with you. They become loyal, they trust you, and so they spend their money with you. So why is content important? And when I say content, I mean content marketing, guys. Okay. The most effective method, content marketing, which is the act of producing content for your brand, especially on digital platforms, which includes TV and radio. It's effective because it helps you grow your audience, it helps you build engagement, you can develop your brand presence, and of course, ultimately, sales. It's all about sales, right? Content marketing is a critical growth method for most businesses. And you're probably looking and saying, okay, what is Ross? Is this guy? What's this Ross? What is Ross and Rachel doing with Windows? I notice it says Windows 95. I'm going to give you an example, because what I want you to understand is that content marketing is not new. Content marketing has been around since forever. What is new is how we are marketing content and the channels that we're using to market content. So back in the day, back in the 90s, Microsoft, yes, that Microsoft, used to have a sitcom called the Cyber Sitcom. And what it was a very well produced guide that tells you about Microsoft products and services. But instead of just having a boring instead of having a boring infomercial, they decided that they were going to get Rachel and Ross. It's not Ross. What was that other guy's name? That guy, Matthew Perry, it was his name. I don't remember what his name was. No, he was Ross. Right. I think he was Ross in Friends. To do it. No, this was before Friends, guys, but I want you to watch this.
Welcome to the Microsoft Windows 95 video guide. This unique program will help teach you how to use many of the most important features of the new Windows 95 operating system. Our guide is separated into 3 sections. In Section 1, you'll get more than a few laughs as we present the world's first cyber sitcom, starring 2 of television's hottest comedy personalities, Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry. They'll be taking you on an adventure in computing that takes place in the office of Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates. Along the way, they meet a wacky bunch of propeller heads and are introduced to the top 25 features of Windows 95. The pace is fast and funny, but don't worry if you miss anything. In Section 2, we'll take you on a step-by-step review of all the Windows 95 components demonstrated in Section 1.
All right, guys. So back in the 90s, you had several companies who they were using TV or radio or the internet, because the internet was a thing back then, to create content that they use to help market their product or services, right? So it's not a new concept, but for a long time we've realized that it is effective. It is very effective because, one, you're providing a certain kind of entertainment as well as education, and that's kind of where the term edutainment come in. Not where it comes from, but you can call it edutainment because it's education, information, as well as it's entertaining at the same time, right? And so that is the kind of method that has been going on. It's been used for a long time. It's a tried and tested method for effectively communicating your brand without the hard sell, right? It's more information, it's a way of building more engagement, and also there's a lot of things that is involved with that. So you have what we call brand association, being able to associate a particular brand with a particular feeling or a particular solution, right? So if I associate, so if you think about if you think about graphic design, what's the first product that comes to your mind when you think graphic design? Graphic design. Adobe, you think Adobe, you think Photoshop, right? For some of us, we think Canva. So you're making that, so that's the association. Canva, graphic design. Adobe, graphic design, right? And so it helps for you to create these kinds of associations. Content helps you to make the associations. Of course, we also know it's good for brand awareness. We also know that it helps you extend your reach, because if your content is shareable, people are going to be sharing it, blah blah blah. It goes viral, it extends your reach, etc. So the benefits of content marketing is absolutely numerous, right? And as I said, you can't be doing, what am I doing? You can't be doing digital marketing if you are not doing content marketing, right? Or producing content. What happened just now? Okay. So let's look at digital media, guys. So what is digital media? Because if we're talking about content, we're talking about a form of media, right? But digital media, because now we're talking about content that is being created for, digital platforms or channels, we're talking about information, coded information, because again, this is technical, and it's technical because we're talking about how content shows up for the end user is not how it looks in the background, which is why you have what we call a user interface. So it's a series of codes in the background. It's computer software programming as a series of code, but then how it look to me is a video or an image, etc. Right? So it's coded information, published and or distributed, communicated and or broadcasted, that's the media part, through electronic mediums. And by electronic mediums, I mean digital platforms, TV, radio, billboard, or if we're talking about in the digital marketing space, social media, website, email, mobile, right? There are two particular types of or categories of digital media. Again, this is for the specific purpose of digital marketing, guys. Okay? So these, not two, three. And these categories act as pillars for your digital marketing strategy, especially when we talk about advertising and promotions, right? So we're talking about owned media, paid media, and earned media. Okay, that never have any graphic. Okay. Owned media, paid media, and earned media. We're going to look at them in turn. So let's talk about owned media. Owned media is media that you create. That it comes from you, it comes from your company. You created it. Your company created it, right? It's internally generated content, and it also has to do with the platforms that you own, or where those content, the platforms that the content is going to be published or distributed on, right? So it's helpful for lead generation, to build engagement, develop community around shared interests, and attract growth opportunities. And so we're going to use Wanga Gal, Tiana, aka Wanga Gal, to just demonstrate the different types of media or the different categories of media that you're going to see on digital platforms, especially social media. So this
Kraka is celebrating 100 years. And to celebrate, they've decided to send me a gift box. I am.
So in this video, she's talking about, hold on. In this video, she's talking about Betty Crocker sent her a influencer box or a sponsor box or whatever you guys want to call it, and she's creating a piece of content, a video where she's doing an unboxing and she's talking about what's in the box, etc., etc., etc. As I said, this is something she has generated internally, whether for whatever purpose or whatever format it comes in, you, the brand, the business, created that piece of content. Let's move on to paid media. Now, paid media is content that is advertised or promoted on digital platforms for bigger reach and hopefully better audience interaction. So we're talking about paid partnerships, sponsored posts, Google ads, or display ads, right? Video ads. Again, this is an example of a paid partnership between Wanga Gal and Juicy Patties, right? And one thing that Tiana is very good at is photography and product placement, etc. And she's a micro brand. She's a small brand that has been getting some serious traction in terms of her influencer marketing from big brands because one, she has marketed herself as a foodie. She does she has a podcast about food. She talks about food a lot. She does food photography. Now Tiana has an entire campaign with Yellow where they follow her around the place and she make different kind of drinks or different kind of food, etc. She's doing a Yellow campaign right now. So this is a paid partnerships. So this would be paid media for Juicy Patty because they're paying this influencer to create content for them, right? In terms of earned media is usually organic content or publicity generated by your community or a third party. So say for instance, you publish a book and a community member decide to do a review to talk about how wonderful your book was, how great your book was. That's publicity being generated by a third party. Let's say you end up in Flair magazine. Flair magazine wants to do a piece on you. That's earned media generated by a third party, right? So we're talking about reviews, word of mouth, testimonials, reposts and shares, TV or news segment. You may end up on Smile Jamaica to talk about something amazing that you did. Earned media. It could be newspaper articles or all of the above. And in this instance, with Tiana, she was a Digital Jamaica People to Watch finalist last year. And, videos were created, photographs were created, blah, 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 articles were written, all of that good stuff. So it was generating content for her, not of her own doing. She didn't create the content herself. She wasn't paid to create the content. It's just somebody seeing what she's doing and now view her as somebody with some kind of authority or expertise and who wants to have that conversation with her, somebody who is doing a review or whatever. The point of it is that you're getting publicity that you did not necessarily generate yourself, but was generated because of your activities that you've been doing. To be honest, it could be self-generated. It could be that you went to TVG and say, hey, I have this awesome thing going on. I think I should be featured. And then say, yeah, okay. Still earn media. Because unless you pay for your appearance, then it's still earned media, okay? There's another one called share or word of mouth media, and I thought it was necessary to include it, even though it could be a part of owned, earned, and paid media, because all of that can turn into shared media. Because whether it's content you own, content you earn, or content paid content, it's still shareable. Depending on where the content shows up, it's still shareable. So if people find the content worth talking about, they will share it with others. They will invite you to their platforms to talk about it, right? And creating content that is shareable is a good way of spreading awareness of your brand, gain new followers, and generate new customers. And these are just some examples of earn media or media turn into shared media, right? So the first example was Digicel said, today we celebrate World Creativity and Innovation Day. Tag your favorite Jamaican creatives, and Digital Jamaica was tagged. Here we are. And then in another example, Kingston Creative kind of, we want to give a special shout out to two of our current trainers for digital training. There was no occasion for them to do that. They just did that, right? And so it's just people see what you're doing, they like what you're doing, it's worth talking about, they want to share it, so they're going to share it. So that's what we mean by share or word of mouth media. Here's another example: signal boost. And sometimes you'll see people say signal boost, or we're boosting this or whatever, right? So we had an internship thing, and John Darkham, who is pretty vocal in the space, pretty well known in the space, he reshared it on his platform again. We didn't ask him to do it or anything, he just did it on his own. So another example of shared media as well. So let's talk about understanding content. So about a year or two ago, this was about 2 years ago, I think, I put out something on Twitter, and I said to the Marketing Jamaica, Marketing Twitter, what do you think content is? And these are some of the responses that I got. So Andre says content is either audio, text, or visual, video, or images. And what makes it good is if it solves a problem for the person consuming it. It is either going to entertain the person, inform them, and sometimes get them to take action. But good is relative to the person consuming it. So the question was, what is content, and what makes content good? And this is what you're going to find. Everybody have their own definition of what content is. When you're looking in the digital marketing space, or even marketing space in general, but more so the digital marketing space, you'll find that definition changes over time. You'll find that different people define things differently based on their own experiences, backgrounds, etc. It's very fluid. But there are few things, there are fundamental core things that just about everybody agree on. And in Andre's response, you can see some of them. Content is either audio, text, or video or images. So it's audio, visual, text. It's going to fall in one of those categories. That's one. Two, it's relative to the person consuming it. And it can be either entertaining or informative. And the ultimate goal of content marketing is to influence the person consuming it to take an action. Let's see what others said. Jo Marie says content, good content at least, is visual and written communication, strategically constructed to edify, entice to action, or empower. Again, visual or written content that serves a purpose. There's an intention behind creating content, okay? Content is information compiled together to be effectively, creatively disseminated, communicated. Again, we're going back to it's information, right, that you can creatively communicate or effectively disseminate, okay? And this is probably one of my favorites. Content is advertorial posing as editorial. Earlier, I said that one of the biggest pluses with content and content marketing is that you are still selling, but it's not the hard sell. It's the soft sell. And so instead of a commercial, it is more of a piece of entertainment, right? But still serving the same purpose as that commercial would serve. It is just formatted differently, right? So it can be consumed in a different way that is less intrusive or that is less obstructive to persons, right? So advertorial posing as editorial. Editorial is storytelling. You're telling a story, you're pulling people in, you're entertaining them. Advertorial is sales, selling. So what you're doing is you're using content as a storytelling mechanism to do the same thing as that commercial would do, right? Anna says, I'd say content is media intended to convey a message. So we're going back to it being media. We're going back to there being a message or an intention behind it. And it can be words, images, or a combination of both. So there are things that we generally agree on in terms of what content is. And so I said, Anika, you're a brand strategist, you create a lot of content. What do you think content is? And this is what Anika had to say. And I want you guys to listen carefully because the audio may be a little low, okay?
What's good content? So good content is no longer a hard sell. The hard sell is out the window. You are either selling a lifestyle, a passion, or a purpose. If you are trying to sell products or services, regardless, the main objective that you're supposed to sell through content marketing is a lifestyle, a passion, or a purpose that then leads folks to want to purchase your product or services. So if you're selling a car or you're selling coaching services, the main thing is that you need to be responding to your target audience's desires in terms of how they feel you will be able to satisfy those needs through your products or services. Which brings me to number two. Number two is that good content is responsive to the triggers of your target audience. So you need to be answering their concerns and their fears, helping them to achieve their goals, helping them to get a little bit closer to a dream. Good content then in that same vein is provocative. It's supposed to stir some sort of emotion. It's supposed to create a response in your audience to not just want to learn more, click here or call you, but it is really supposed to create that desire that is built up in them that is connected or deeply connected to those triggers that we were just talking about. And finally, good content is genuine. And when I say genuine, good content must be genuine based on your brand's principles, based on your brand's ethos or your brand ethos. It has to be the truth of your brand. So what is genuine for my brand is not going to be genuine for your brand. And in doing so, because I mean, really and truly, the public knows. They'll know when somebody is being fake. We'd like to think that they don't, but they will know. And if your content is built on sticking to the facts, if it's built on vulnerability, if your content is built on funny bloopers like mine is, then it has or it carries that message that it is true and it is genuine, and that's how you build trust.
All right. So Anika says content has to be your it's lifestyle. I think she said lifestyle, purpose, or let's go again.
What's good content? So good content is no longer a hard sell. The hard sell is out the window. You are either selling a lifestyle, a passion, or a purpose.
All right. So a lifestyle, a passion, or a purpose, according to Anika, right? And what she means by that is that it's responsive to your target audience's desires. It's responsive to triggers of your target audience. Remember last week we talked about triggers, so emotional triggers, cultural triggers, etc. We talked about that KFC commercial, right? That's what she means. Provokes a response from your audience, and last, but certainly not least, it has to be authentic and genuine. People can suss out when you're fake. As I said, customers are very digitally savvy, and they can suss things out for themselves and know when you're not being real, right? And that can become a problem online. Let's hear from Victoria. She's a digital marketing consultant, and here let's hear what she thinks good content is.
I'm Victoria, digital marketing consultant for beauty and fashion brands. And today's question that was asked is, what is good content? For me personally, good content is content that creates a community. Now, every day we see thousands of images, videos, quotes, influencers, and people everywhere. But what really sticks is content that gathers people together, content that allows people to create an unorganized or organized community. Good content allows people to engage with it and share it. Now, in that community, that's when content goes viral. That's when content becomes memorable. That's when content becomes most loved, because the people in that community, they're sharing, they're engaging, they're liking, they're loving, they're even mimicking that content because they want that result, that engagement to come along their way. So if you're going to create good content, you have to create content for a specific community, and you have to create content that evokes, attracts, will draw out people.
Oops, sorry. Oop, what did I do?
And becomes most likely to come along their way. So if you're going to create good content, you have to create content for a specific community, and you have to create content that evokes, attracts, will draw out people of that community so that they can gather and they can embrace, love, share, like, spread that love of that content. That's good content. Good content allows a community to speak, to love, to grow. So if you're gonna create content, again, think about your community, think about who you're creating content for, because that's gonna be your tribe going forward. That's gonna be the customers who are gonna buy from you. That's gonna be the clients who are gonna look for you, who are gonna recommend you, share you, who are gonna give you testimonials. Good content creates community, and with good content comes good responsibility, where you have to nurture that community, and your content has to do that as well. So good content, community, to me, they're almost the same thing. Yeah.
All right, guys. So you heard from Victoria and Anika, and Victoria is saying that
I'm Victoria.
good content creates an organized community, allows people to engage and share, and that's where content goes viral. And it also is used to nurture that community. And a part of nurturing is lead generation and sales. That's the reason why you nurture. All right. So it looks like somebody says, I almost thought she was talking to me. Yes, based on the whole is our video. You see the quality of the video? Yes, it makes it look like she's popping out of the thing. So that's what good quality, according to Anika and Victoria, that's what good quality is. And I agree with them that good quality embodies good content, embodies all of those things, right? Let's talk about content formats. And you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to skip over this real quick, and I'm going to send you guys these as a document in the resources. And basically, content formats, I was looking at short form content versus long form content and the pros and cons of that. But I'm going to put this in the folder for you guys to go and read, because I really want to jump to anatomy of good content and what makes a content strategy good, because we're running out of time and I want to talk about the assignment. Okay, the anatomy of good content. Let's look at content first. What makes content good? We say content is good because it's relevant, it establishes your authority, it's audience specific, it inspires action, it's memorable, it's shareable, it's copyable, it's searchable. Notice all these things the lady said before. Victoria talked about people wanting to mimic your content, people wanting to share it, people coming looking for you, people recommending you, all that good stuff. And a prime example, and this is an example I use all the time, is JCS. Now, JCS stands for Jim Can't Swim. Or is it Jim Can Swim? I think it's Jim Can Swim. Now, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 videos. There were more videos, but this particular creator was having some problem with YouTube because YouTube kept demonetizing his videos. Long story short, what I wanted to look at is the numbers. 61 million views, 27 million views, 17 million views, 11 million views. I think the lowest view count on any one of these is this one with 7.7 million views. Jim Can't Swim talks about criminal psychology, but and criminal true crime channels are a dime a dozen on YouTube. Plentiful on YouTube. But it's how this particular creator went about doing true crime videos. So instead of talking about the crime and what the people did and blah, 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 he went and he looked at how the psychology behind it, the psychology that interrogators use to get people to admit to things, the psychology that these people are using against the interrogators to throw them off their scent or whatever. That's how this person approaches true crime. Now, if I should type in JCS inspired, this guy or this person or the creator of this channel started created an entire new genre of true crime content on YouTube. And so any content that you see that says JCS inspired, these are people who are not only part of that creator's community, but people who are been inspired by the content and who's now copying the content. So what they've done is they've started doing content in the same style as JCS. And if I should scroll through, you'll see JCS inspired. And there's a reason why you see them put JCS inspired at the end of their title. Because if you understand how the titles work on YouTube, that it's searchable. So use keywords in the title. 2 reasons why they put JCS inspired. One, if they don't, and a community member from JCS come across it, your comment section is gonna get spammed because people are gonna be going, you're stealing content and you're not crediting the original creator of this style, blah, blah, blah. So people, to avoid the stress, they just put JCS inspired. But another reason for using JCS inspired is because you want people to watch your content, because if you like JCS content, you're gonna love this. So it's almost like a signal boost to your content. So you're saying, listen, you like JCS, you're gonna love this, come and watch this. So once somebody says JCS inspired, and if you like that kind of content and you like JCS, you're gonna watch it. So that's the 2 reasons why somebody would put JCS inspired there, right? So this is why I use it as an example of good content, because it hits every single one of these points. Memorable, inspire, action is very audience specific because it's talking about true crime, but people who are more interested in the psychology behind crime. It establishes their authority, which is why everybody is now talking about JCS inspired, because they set that genre. They created, quote unquote, this kind of genre. It's relevant to that audience, shareable, copyable, searchable, all that good. It hits every mark. Let's talk about the anatomy of a good strategy. It's targeted and audience specific. So we come back to it being audience specific and it being targeted to a specific audience. It is effectively communicated. Who are you talking to? Where are they? How are you going to find them? What do you want to say? How are you going to say it? The language you're going to use. Effective communication. It is appropriately formatted. Are you going to do videos? Are you going to do reels? Are you going to do carousel? What is the content going to look like? How are you format? It's a format that you're going to use. And as well, what is the best format for you to present your content in? Is it video? Is it images? Is it a podcast? What's the best format? It has to be consistent. We talked about consistency before. The quality has to be consistent. You have to be publishing it on a consistent basis, which means you have to have a publishing or posting schedule. The subject matter has to be consistent. Consistency. It has to be properly distributed. Where are you publishing it to? Where am I going to go and see this content? Are you publishing it to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook? Where are you distributing the content? Does it inform a buyer's action? Does it influence the audience to take an, does it inform your audience, or does it inform buyer action or influence buyer's action? So that's the anatomy of a good strategy. And the best example I can find of this is I'm gonna stop sharing, not stop sharing. That's not what I meant to do. Hold on there, guys. I'm going to start sharing, but I wanted to use a different browser. Okay, let me go here and go to Instagram and go to Women's Marketing Code. Okay. So we talked about effective communication, targeted, blah, blah. Let's look at Women's Marketing Code. I don't know how many of you know this creator. Her name is Talika McDonald, and she's going to be our special guest presenter on Wednesday. Talika has created an Instagram platform. Clearly, there's a content marketing strategy going on here. And how Talika presents the information, it's part entertainment, part educational, part information. It's done in an interesting way. She's clearly talking to a particular audience. She's posting regularly. She has a particular schedule. If she's not posting to her feed, she's posting to her stories, right? And also there's value. There's clear value in what it is that she's saying, and in that way it's relevant to her audience, it's shareable, it's copyable, it's searchable. So not only is it good content, she has also designed or developed a really good strategy to push that content to help her generate leads. Because what Talika does is she teaches, she's a strategist. Her thing especially is in sales, social media sales. So she's using the content on her social media page to generate leads for one of her courses, because she does courses. So let's just watch one of her videos.
Oh, hi, this is T from WMC Network coming in with the latest news around hashtags. There has been a recent buzz about whether or not hashtags are working. Yes, they are working. Carry on with using hashtags and use as many as you please as long as they are relevant. Please disregard any false news about hashtags no longer working. This is T from WMC Network. Have a good day.
Okay, so educational, informative, but with a little flair, a little entertainment to boot. And then what you're going to notice about Talika is her captions are bomb. Her captions are long, yes, and people talk about captions shouldn't be too long, blah, blah, blah. If your captions are, if it adds to your content, if it adds value to your content, if it contextualizes your content, if it makes your content make sense, then go ahead and write that caption. And she gives you even more information in the caption about what she's talking about, contextualizing the information that she just shared in this video, etc. And so you get a lot of people responding to talk about they love the format, this win, and then notice she talks about the fact that she created this in Canva, right? So you have people talking about, can you tell me how did you create this in Canva, blah, 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 blah. So one piece of content is doing so much things. Because on digital platform, your content is carrying all the weight. It's doing all the heavy lifting for you. So you have to make sure that it is well done, that your strategy is good, and that the content itself is good. Let's look at another one.
This on. Okay, I'm gonna quiz you real quick to see if you know what you're doing in sales and marketing for your business. So I got one question for you. Do you know where your customers are coming from, where they should be going, and what type of plan you have in place for them after it is that they bought from you? It doesn't really sound like you know that, bestie. Read the caption to find out how you can fix this in your business.
Short, sweet, to the point again. Information, education, entertainment. And so I think this is a really good example of, again, good content. You guys were not seeing any of that, were you? Are you guys seeing my screen? Oh, yes, you're seeing my screen. Okay. So, for a minute there, I was like, whoop. So, guys, I want all of you to go and follow Talika. She posts regularly. All her posts are really good. They're really informative. You can get a really good you can get really good insights from her and stuff. And she is going to be here on Wednesday, guys, to do a presentation for us on how to create a good content marketing strategy and how to develop effective content. It's gonna be amazing. And so you guys need to make sure that you are there.